Hey, welcome to the second video. So in the last one, what we did is we started with the basics. We built the cube, moved it over here so we could see the second side. We tried some things that were other than cubes. And then we tried something that was kind of a combination of all of them where it gets a little more intricate. Then we did overlapping, where you can draw one object, and the easiest way is just very simply draw the second one and then erase out the parts you don't need and up here. So we'll be applying those two and still using this set. So if you didn't get this written down, you want to pause this and get these steps written down. Okay. Now as we work today, you'll see that we don't always go exactly in this order. This idea becomes more just drawing in perspective as you get used to it. And our goal today in this video is to draw something that looks like this. So we were working with external, looking at things that are just kind of floating around, seeing the outside of objects. We're just going to apply it this time to the inside of an object. So it looks like it's inside of a room. And we're going to try doors, aiming on different walls, stairs, aiming on different walls, some objects and different features. And then in the next assignment, you'll use this information. You can refer back to this assignment and these two videos. You're going to create a room with some objects in it and just combine those two. It's kind of what I've done right here a little bit. So we're going to start with a fresh page. So as far as supplies, you're still going to need regular pencil, eraser, ruler. Don't really need a compass on this one. And we're going to try to follow the same ideas, but instead of creating the external again, creating the internal objects. So remember that your vanishing point needs to be small so it can be accurate. And I kind of marked this so that I could get something very similar to what I have on that example. I'll make this a little bigger so you can see it, but again, yours should just be just a dot. Just enough to see. And you want to make sure that you're working accurately and lightly so it's easy to erase, but everything is accurate. Close won't work on this. Okay, the first thing I want to do is to draw this far wall. And the way that I drew it is I used my ruler and I got a little smaller than the whole width. So it doesn't matter if you get exactly what I've got here. Your room might look a little bit different, but I designed it to have enough room to put all the doors and stairs and examples in it. So I'm going to give you my measurements. You can follow those, but know that that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the end result, even if your viewpoint looks a little different in your room. So what I did here is I did a 7/8 of an inch, and it's a little closer to well, it's about in the middle. And then on each side, I went about an inch to the right and about 5/8 of an inch to the left. So that kind of puts it in that area. And I believe, yep, I believe I had it upside down. So once you've done that, if you've measured those, I just flipped it upside down. So you have 7/8, and it's a little bit closer to the top. Then I went 5/8 here and a full inch over here. So that gets your first box. Now when we start this, one of the more common mistakes I'll see is that people want to just take these corners and connect them to the corners of your paper. If you ever have a line that goes to the corner, that's okay, as long as you get it the correct way, but it's just coincidence. Instead, what you want to do is you're going to line up one by one each corner and go from your vanishing point. So I'm going to go from the vanishing point. I'll just start in the top right, go that direction. Again, I'm used to drawing light, and so I have to remind myself to draw dark so y'all can see it. But all these lines, if you'll keep light, you're going to use parts. Parts of them will disappear. So the lighter the better. So once you add those, you get a floor to ceiling, and a left and a right wall, and you've got that back wall. As you work, you have two kinds of walls. We're going to call that wall A because that was the first kind of wall. This wall is made up of verticals and horizontals. Then you have these two walls, which are a wall B. Wall B is the one that goes to and from the vanishing point. And as we do this, we're still operating in that perfect world where everything is totally square. And so everything that happens is going to be either a wall A or a wall B. And what you'll see is as we change directions, it may go from an A to a B to an A to B to an A, then it goes back to a B over here. And then things will be different depending on which wall it is. This door, it all works with the same perspective, but it's a little bit differently drawn on this wall than it is here. This is why I've given you two to look at. So the next thing I would do, I want to add this wall over here. So what happens is anytime you change directions, the wall A and B, they're kind of dictated by the top and bottom. So here they're horizontal, here they're vanishing point. If I switch, I'm going to need a vertical line. You'll notice we do a lot of switching on vertical lines for corners. Then you just do whatever you did here, you do the opposite. So go back to horizontal. So let's see, that was about right there, if you want to get an idea. I didn't measure this one, but that's about where it is. You want to make sure your ruler is vertical. You don't want it leaning. It's really important to keep all your lines vertical. And then from this point here, you switch. Your wall was horizontal. Now it comes from the vanishing point. I didn't draw this part, but that's the part of the line we don't need. And I want to adjust the brightness just a little bit. I think that'll help. There we go. When you get to here, it's been coming from the vanishing point. You're just going to switch and take it horizontally off the page. And then you just erase that part. Then do the same thing at the bottom. You've got this coming from the vanishing point. When you get to this corner, just make sure your ruler is horizontal. And then draw that. So as I go on, I'm not pausing, but remember just to pause the video, work on that, go back if you need to see those steps. On the other side, I'm going to let this one, let's see, I want to make it come out about right here because I want to make it turn twice. So I'm doing the same thing I did here, it's just over on this side. So I want to start with a vertical line. That tells me that wall A turned into wall B, and wall B is going to stop and turn back into a wall A. So I want to make sure that I am horizontal. Draw that line. And then these will come out. And I have a wall going that direction. Now notice that this wall switches again. So all you have to do is just reverse that. We made a corner here, it became wall B. We made a corner here, it became wall A with horizontals. All we're going to do is make another corner and then go from these points, top and bottom, to the vanishing point. So you just keep switching corners, but you always go back to the same vanishing point. Let's see how much room I did. Okay, about like that. So I'm going to make this corner right there. And then this wall was horizontal, vanishing point, horizontal. And now I've got a new corner. So I'll take the bottom off, then I swing up to the top, and the top off. Then you take out the extra lines. You can see now why it's really important to draw lightly. It just makes it a lot easier. And so in looking at that, if you've gotten that far, you've got the basics of the room. You just don't have all the stuff that's in there. But you've got the basics. And you can see we're still using step one, draw your shape. Step 2, connect closest corners. And step 3, close it off. It's just we're not doing it all in the same order, because to advance from simple things to more complex things, you have to make those 3 steps become just a way to draw. And so you might use a little of a step 2, a little step 3, go back to step 1. It's kind of mixed up in there, and you just realize you have things that are either going across the page and don't get closer or further, like wall A, or you have things that go to and from the vanishing point, like wall B. Alright, so let's see. Let's add the floor and do that. That sounds good. So here's what I want to do. I want to have 2 things here, and they're all lined up. One's a rug and one's this little pit that's kind of dug into the floor. So as we draw this kind of thing, it really doesn't have to make sense, this pit and the floor. It just has to make perspective sense. So that's kind of a strange thing to add. Think of it maybe as a big pool or just a hole in the floor. But I want to have it where it doesn't go quite all the way to the wall here, where there's a little bit of space. So what I want to do, this is the line that I use to draw this wall here, and this is where the floor, it's like the baseboard where it meets the wall. So what I'm going to do is put my pencil here, and then just bring in my ruler until I have about the space that I want, and I want to go about right there. So I'm still lined up with the vanishing point, but that comes out in the floor. And then I just swing back over on this side and draw there. So again, any extra lines, if you want to draw that whole line here, if that helps, go ahead and do that. I just skipped that part because I knew I'd just erase it out. Now the cross parts, all these stay horizontal. So you've got a comparison. So we're going to make all these lines right here horizontal. So for a minute, it's going to look just like a rug, two rugs. So I've got this horizontal. I'm using the see-through ruler so that I can line up, keep this parallel. So it's kind of like step 3. Then however big you want to make the rug, and then I want to skip a little space, and then we're going to make that hole in the floor. And again, right now that hole in the floor is just going to look like a rug. It's not going to look like it has any depth. That will come in a few minutes. And it's a little easier if you go back, easier to see if you go back and take out these guidelines. So it looks like it's coming towards you. So I've used vanishing point lines on the edge and horizontal lines which stack up back like that. So the back one is done. If you were doing a finished drawing, you might do patterns on the rug, however you wanted to do it. But the hole, if you'll notice, it goes down into the floor. So just think about what lines do. Horizontal lines will mark these edges. Vanishing point lines will always go back and show depth. Vertical lines always show going up or down. So if you're going to go from floor level down into the pit, you're going to need these vertical lines. Also notice from your viewpoint that there's a wall on this side, but you don't see it because it's hidden. So remember those hidden corners, visible corners, all that we talked about. So what you can do is look at this. If you can begin to imagine that that's a hole in there, it helps you to figure out where your lines are going to go. So when I look at this, I realize, okay, if that's a hole, I'll see all those edges. This one is hidden, so I don't need to worry about working there. Instead, I'm going to work up here to make the depth. You can also use process of elimination. If you're not sure what to draw, you can think, well, maybe I should draw a vanishing point line. Well, no, I've already used those. Maybe I should use horizontal. Okay, I've already used those. So the only thing that's remaining is a vertical. And so I'm going to draw this line and that line. I usually draw them a little further than I think I'm going to need because I can just erase it out. And then what I want to do is finish this shape. So we're kind of creating a step 1 here. And so once I've done these verticals, that's the corner that's going down into the floor. I'm going to use that clear ruler again, line up with this edge, And then just drop this down as deep as you want it. So you could go all the way down here. You could even let these go all the way down. If you draw it like that, it kind of looks like it's a pit that just keeps going forever. What I'm going to do is just chop it off where it's about right there. And just draw from your left vertical to your right. Then you've got two more corners. You're always going to run into these corners. And you go, okay, what do I do here? Well, the one up top used vanishing point. So the one on the bottom must do the same thing. Okay. Same thing here. The top used a vanishing point. So the bottom. And to keep it from looking like it's just a band around here, like that's the actual floor, just take out your guidelines and you've got it. So what you just drew is a little pit and a rug. Now we're going to do the skylights next up here, and they are very similar to the pit. As a matter of fact, if you want to see what they're going to look like, just real quick, just do this. It kind of looks like there's skylights up there. We're basically going to go draw this on the ceiling. So following this same idea, really the only difference is we're drawing this on the ceiling, we're going to make the rug into another hole. So I'm going to draw the edges. Both my skylights will come from the vanishing point that way. And this edge will go there. Then I want to draw the horizontals that show me the rest. So I have two of the edges. I want to use my clear ruler to line up here. Then I want to scoot that forward a little bit. And we'll talk more about this later, but what I'm doing here when I'm choosing the size is called atmospheric perspective. That means that this one is going to look a little smaller, even though it's probably the same size as this front one, just because it's further away. But that's something that's a little ways down the line after we finish with linear perspective. Then I'll line that one up. I'll just use the width of the ruler. It's convenient. Okay. And sometimes when you're doing multiple things, sometimes you'll look at it and go, okay, is that the hole or is that the space in between it? So what I'll do is when I get that, if it's confusing, is I'll just take these out first. Then it's really easy to see what you're working with. And then do what you did here, upside down. You're not going to see this edge or that edge inside. All you're going to see is those two corners and those two corners. Now since we're making this all the same size, you can save a little time. Once you figure out the back one, let's see if I want it to be that tall. I can draw that, and while I'm lined up, I'll go ahead and draw the next one. That makes them look like they're exactly the same size. So if you have things in a row like that, that's a good trick to use. Is just to go ahead and draw both of them. And then the bottoms of these, that was horizontal, so that'd be horizontal, same thing in the back. And again, you can pause these as you need to, go back and look at them, work with them. But in working with what you did there, you've now created the skylights. So we're going pretty quick. You can add this one here, that's kind of a little challenge. I'll draw that one in and just leave it and see if you can figure that one out. It just looks different because it's over to the left and you're not seeing this edge or that edge. Remember how our cube changed with location? So let me add that one in, then we'll move on and do some doors and windows and stairs. Okay, so it's moving pretty well now. Kind of think as we're getting ready to start this next part, if you feel a little more confident with what you're doing now. You looked at this at first, you thought there's no way I can do that. But remember yesterday, you may have looked at this and thought there's no way I can do that, or overlap. So remember, if you can do these, all this is the same, it's just a different application. So we're going to begin with the doors, and we'll work on these two doors over here. Alright, so when you do the doors, they're very similar to the walls. If you do doors, windows, anything that's on a wall, if you look to the wall itself, it's going to give you a lot of answers. If you're on wall B, then tops and bottoms of things will be vanishing point, just like the wall. If you're on wall A, then the tops and bottoms will be horizontal. So you notice here, the face of it will be vanishing point. The part that goes in, the depth, will be horizontal. Here it's just reversed. The face will be horizontal, and the depth will go to the vanishing point. So I'm going to work on both these doors over here at the same time. And I'm going to put them right close to the corner so that I can compare them a little better. And I want my door to be this wide. So I'm using the corner, which is a vertical, as a reference. I just came out 1/4 of an inch. And we'll make the door about that wide. Okay. Then on this side, we'll make the door about like that. Okay. Now, doors go down to the floor, but they don't go to the ceiling usually. Usually there's a little space over them. So we got to put the top on. And again, just look to the wall. So for the top of this door, the wall is wall B, vanishing point, so top of the door will be like that. This wall is horizontal, wall A, and so you just drop it down. And there's the top of that door. Again, just take out your extras as you go. So you've got the opening, but it doesn't look like there's any depth. It looks like the walls are paper thin. Okay, so I have to look and see what I've got. I've used vertical and I've used vanishing point so far. So to come in, I'm going to work from this edge. Can you figure out why? On the right edge of the door, I see inside of it. On this one, I don't. So over here, I see the left side, but I don't. So you have to kind of think about where you are in the room and what you see. So horizontal lines there. So at that point, it kind of looks like a hallway. Over here, I'm going to work with vanishing point because it's a horizontal wall, so I use the vanishing point, the other thing. And again, if you're not sure where to start, you could try here, draw that, and go, well, that didn't work because that's inside the wall, so it must be that one. So process of elimination will help you as you get started and kind of get the feel for it. Okay. So it kind of looks like you're going around this pole, which is kind of a cool look. But to keep it like the example, what I want to do is just to make the wall a certain thickness. So if this is the front, I'm going to put a matching vertical line back here. That tells me the wall's about that thick. And I'll make this about the same. Maybe a little bigger since it's closer. Now, to make it easier to see, I want to take out this so that hallway is not showing anymore. And you can see that everything is complete except for the top. So again, it's just like if your wall is vanishing point, the outside of your door top was vanishing point, and also from this little point right here that you just created, you go across for that. And you got your door. Same thing here. My wall is horizontal, so the outer top is horizontal. Then I scoot down here and create a horizontal. There's your door. So I'm going to add another door over here, and if you want to pause and work on this, when you unpause it, you'll see the door over here. See if you can figure out how it was done. Alright, we're doing good on doors. I've got this one over here now. So hopefully you saw that it's like this door, it's just a mirror image. It's on a wall B, so everything corresponds. Vanishing point, vanishing point, vanishing point, vertical, just like the corners, and two horizontals. Now we got all these doors, so we want to add some of the final things, which are the stairs. And these tend to throw people a lot, but really if you think about it, all it is 2 cubes. And if you think of the cubes, it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. Same thing back here. All the stairs are a bunch of cubes that are stacked up. So if you think of that and realize we're not really using the steps in the same order, we're using them as we need them, we can begin to see how the steps are made. So if I want steps coming down from here on this door, just think about the wall. The wall doesn't go to the vanishing point. The stairs stick out from the wall, so they have to. They do the opposite. Over here, the wall is a vanishing point. So the stairs have to use the horizontal. So they just switch out. So what I'll do is I'll say stairs go up. So I'll have a certain height there, and stairs come out. That's the job of stairs. Then stairs have to have little steps. So this doesn't have to fit as far as proportion, anything like that. So I'm kind of making them not real proportions. But let's say if I did a step there, that's a vertical, because vertical goes up. And I'll try a horizontal. That didn't look right. Oh, that's right. The steps are going to the vanishing point. So I'll go back like that. And then I just repeat it. Do another vertical. And take that to the vanishing point. So what I did is create the side of the stairs. I know I'm going to cover up some of this door and that corner, so I'm just going to erase it to get it out of the way. Okay, so I've used vertical and vanishing point. So if I want to get the cross part, the width of the stairs, make sure your ruler is horizontal. And just every time you have a corner, there's a corner. Here's one. These insides people forget sometimes. And just take those across. Now when you get to the width, however wide you want it, I'm going to put it about right here. Or actually you could start up here. If you brought this down, that would give you this point. And that's exactly the width of that opening, the door. And then just line up, because this side is vanishing point. So you match it here. Uh-oh, that's not long enough. Well, just come down and lengthen it. Then from this point, I go down horizontally. And again, that wasn't long enough, so I just lengthen it. And I'm covering up even more, so I'll just get that background out of the way. And then just like the front is vanishing point, the back one is. So I have to lengthen this. And then come down vertically and match that. So it's kind of some weird looking stairs. It kind of sticks out further than the ones I did on the finished one. But it's all correct. And so you've got a wall B, wall A, which is horizontal. So everything sticks out with vanishing points. Now, instead of talking it through, I'll just build this one and just notice that it's kind of the opposite. This wall is a wall B, vanishing point. So things stick out with horizontals and verticals, and the cross part matches the wall. So now you've got those stairs there. And again, you take out any scraps. You can draw back in. I erased a little more than I needed to, so just draw back in that part. Same thing over here. Draw back in what you still need. And that gives you the stairs. Then I added a few things, and this is where I want you to practice. And what you'll turn in for this one will be all your practices. So you'll have a photograph of this. You'll have a second photograph of your overlapping. Then you'll have a third photograph of this one where you've kind of applied it all. And I added things like this box, this little rug or scarf flying here. All I did was I just kind of looked at the situation and said, okay, things are coming towards me, so I used horizontal. Vanishing point, I already had that corner, so I came down here. Then, so I just added little features. Over here, I built a kind of like a bookcase or something that might go there. To make it against the wall, what I did is I started here. So you could start out here. And draw this, but what I did is I started here so I knew that it was right against the wall. It's kind of like what we did with the stairs. And I said, okay, this is going to be against the wall and go up, and it's against the wall, it's going to come out. And then I see this corner has to match vertically. I'll make it really thin so it'll fit. That's vertical. This changes direction just like the corner of the wall. So this change and that change are exactly the same. Matches top and bottom. That goes back to the vanishing point. I missed it just a little bit. Just going to lower that to match. This goes back, and then that's a horizontal line there. Then you erase out your scraps. Alright, so I try to keep these so YouTube will accept them better. In about 30 minutes, I'm a little bit over. So those are the three you practice, and I'll also list on the canvas the things you need to turn in and the due dates. The next assignment will be an application of these three drawings.